Amanda, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ben Camacho. I'm an investigative reporter with the Southlander, and I'm here to speak with you today about what happened at Terminal Island and the ongoing struggle against the federal immigration raids. Amanda, you're a U.S. citizen. You were arrested by federal agents while monitoring immigration enforcement operations on Terminal Island on August 8th. This video was pretty much seen everywhere. Can you tell us what led up to this arrest?
Sure. Since um, around June of this year, the Harbor Area Peace Patrols and other organizations and groups and individuals have been on Terminal Island. When we became aware that ICE is staging there, and we've seen vehicles from all across the LA area coming out of Terminal Island and back in after big and small raids and people being kidnapped. So we said to ourselves, why, it's not safe for them to be there. It should not be legal for them to be there. Politicians know. We want them out. We want the community safe. We don't want them going anywhere else either, of course. But so we have been documenting and monitoring them, just to alert the community to their vehicles, but also doing community patrols to make sure, if we do see them in the community, we alert the community so they can band together and make sure their neighbors are safe.
Yeah, and so this work, this peace patrol work that you do, you're part of a coalition, I understand. Can you kind of tell us more about that?
Sure, sure. So I am a member of Unión del Barrio, and Unión has been around for about 40 years. I've actually only been a member for about 3 months. I've been an organizer for a very long time. However, thank goodness, earlier, or I think it was late last year, Unión started to help organize the Community Self-Defense Coalition. They saw this coming. I mean, it had been going on even under the Democrats, but of course, we knew under Trump it would be different in some ways. So the Community Self-Defense Coalition I think it might even be more than 60 organizations now in the LA area that come together and are organizing to defend their communities and community patrols. And Harbor Area Peace Patrols is part of the coalition.
Mhm. And so when you were out there, what did you see like the moment right before you were tackled to the ground? What was going on?
Well, we know they come out in convoys. We have photos, right? So sometimes they come out in two or three. Sometimes they come out in their vans. Usually it's in a convoy of trucks, SUVs, American made. So we saw them coming out and they were going faster than usual. And, we had our signs up there was only about 4 or 5 of us that morning. And then we were also documenting, the cars. And they sped up and then stopped right in front and jumped out of the car. So they're escalating their tactics. I believe they're frustrated. They know the community. They know that LA is aware of what they're doing is illegal. They're going against the temporary restraining order. They're racially profiling. So I don't know exactly what prompted them to do that morning, but I think they're frustrated because we're not backing down. We're just becoming stronger.
Hmm. Take me into the moment where you were down on the ground. What were you feeling internally?
Um, Very like helpless in a way. I mean, of course, just being myself, they're huge men, they were like very tall, very big, pinned my face to the ground. I heard my friends, other community organizers, screaming and videotaping. We try to make sure we're taping in case anything happens. And I don't think that as far as we've seen in their cars, they're not taping because they don't want to be, they don't want people to know what's going on. But I was feeling very scared, and I didn't have any way to fight back. But I knew my comrades would help me. I knew that they would be there for me, and I would be there for them. And that's really what community is, because we keep ourselves safe, right? I don't rely. The police are on their side. We've seen that many times over. So
Mm.
yeah.
So what happened after they arrested you? Like, where did they take you? What did you see?
So they took me in the vehicle, And of course, they didn't read me my rights. They didn't, they handcuffed me, that they were all around me, all these men around me. And they took me onto the non-civilian side of Terminal Island because we were on public property and we had always been documenting. So they took me onto the other side. They kept me in the vehicle. They were all around me in the vehicle, and all of their trucks were around me. And I had to wait for like many hours. And then there were officials, government, people that work for the government. They saw what was going on the other side of Terminal Island, but they know what these kidnappers are doing. They have to. So no one really helped. I didn't feel like anyone else would help me over there either.
Mhm. When you say people that work for the government, I just want to clarify,
Yeah.
people that didn't look like agents, or like what do you mean by that exactly?
I should be more clear. I know for a fact that the warden walked by. There's a prison on the other side, the non-civilian side of Terminal Island, and I know for a fact the ICE agents or kidnappers. I don't know if they all work, if they're all federal officials because they don't identify themselves, but spoke to the warden of the jail. So I do know that he saw me. They had their guns out still, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know specifically, but people are driving by constantly, so they know ICE is there on Terminal Island.
Right, right. Yeah, there's very heavy presence there. So I understand that you were released from custody the next day. And I read a story saying that they did not file charges on you, at least yet. What does that tell you about the types of tactics? And correct me if I'm wrong too, is it charges fully dropped, or like what's kind of the situation?
Sure. So the charges are fully dropped at this point, but I was made very well aware by the woman that told me from Homeland Security that they could still press charges, and I think all of these are intimidation tactics for people that are organizing in the community, and they still have my phone. Even though they didn't charge me with anything, they said that they would give it back to me after 30 days. They tried to get me to open my phone multiple times when I was in the vehicle with the person that kidnapped me. Um, and they've emailed me since being released and asked me again to meet with them to open my phone to see if I want to get anything off of it. Of course, I spoke to my lawyer. I did not do that.
Mhm.
So they're still intimidating me. But again, I know I have the community behind me. We have each other and we're helping each other. So that's one of the reasons why I was released. And they didn't have anything against me.
So I know that the CBP spokesperson has said that you essentially were accused of blocking and hitting vehicles with a sign. What do you say to that?
I say that they're going to say whatever they would like to say to make the community members look like we're not just documenting them and monitoring them and on public property. They don't want us there. They know more people are starting to find out where they are. They're also staying in Long Beach, so they feel like we're on their turf. They don't want us where they're going in and out, and to be able to alert the community. They want us out, so they're trying to intimidate us,
Mhm.
but it's not working. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go back to this phone situation. It's really interesting that
Yeah.
so you say that they still have your phone, and this is prior to us recording. You mentioned that you had an iPhone. Is that the phone you were referring to?
Correct. So I had to purchase, well, I didn't, well, I purchased a new phone because they still have my phone. I had to change my number, and I also purchased a new computer. I don't want them to have, any access to my personal information. I don't have any charges placed against me. They said that I would get my phone back after 30 days. They said it's, in federal property. They have the right to look at it, but I wasn't charged with anything. So um, I'm not sure if they're ever going to give it back to me, to be honest.
Are you aware of a search warrant for your device?
No, I have not been shown a search warrant.
And have they mentioned a search warrant at all?
They mentioned a search warrant, but they never showed me a search warrant. They never said that there was a search warrant. And as far as I know, is I have Find My iPhone. Now I'm sure they have other technology, but it should be erased when they open it. But I'm not really, it doesn't say that it's been opened. So, but again, everything we've been doing it has been legal. So I'm not too concerned. But it's my constitutional right. They don't have a search warrant. So
Yeah,
as far as I understand.
right, right. Um, so the peace patrols, what's the importance of doing that type of work in this context that we're in?
Well, um, I mentioned a lot about us, taking photos, but also community patrols and alerting the community when places are safe, as far as we know at that point in time, so they can go out and do basic things like buy groceries, or take their children to the park where they feel more comfortable. If they know, hey, right now we were there, we're here, there's no one here right now if you'd like to come. So that's a really important part. But also, seeing that monitoring the illegal activity that the politicians and police are not holding them accountable to, such as not having correct plates on the correct car, switching plates out, and not having plates at all. So, and connecting their cars, their vehicles back to Terminal Island from raids across the city, so we have documentation for the future, so they can be held accountable. So in the present, we want to help protect our neighborhoods, but also help document for the future and hopefully to hold these people accountable.
Hmm. Yeah, and so Terminal Island itself, I understand, has like a history that kind of goes back to World War II and internment. Um, and I guess like what should we understand about Terminal Island and how it's being used by these federal authorities?
Um, Basically, they're using it in every way, any way that they want to. They're back there. Basically, I've seen even um, I guess it's, yeah, the Navy on Terminal Island. They make it more difficult for us to come in and park our cars, or I shouldn't say the Navy necessarily, but the officials that are not necessarily ICE, I don't think, but they patrol Terminal Island, and sometimes they make it more difficult for us to park. So I feel like it's not just ICE. I feel like it's this whole community, behind Terminal Island that works for the federal government that might be, concerned or for their jobs and their safety. But it's really they've kind of taken over a huge part of Terminal Island as their own, which as you said, there's a history of the Japanese internment camps and the museum there right on the public property before you go in, which is very ironic because now they're kidnapping people, and yeah.
Yeah. So I understand you're a nurse.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we've seen reports about um, ICE or CBP targeting hospitals and showing up at hospitals, taking people from there. From someone in your field, how does that affect people who are looking for healthcare?
So particularly at my hospital, there's a large Hispanic community in South Central LA, of course, and they, are concerned to come into the hospital. We try to encourage or try to, of course, let them know that our hospital in particular wants to keep them safe. The nurses there, the hospital itself wants to keep them safe. So maybe 2.5 months ago, we brought it up to our um, uh, higher ups at the hospital and said, look, we need to figure out what we're going to do if these officials come, officials or kidnappers, I don't know who they are, come into this hospital. So we have the hospital sent out information, and basically we would have to call our security members and they would have to meet them at the front of the hospital. But I know my nurse coworkers and other coworkers feel very passionate. Many of them have family members, we do not want them coming in and taking our patients. That is just insane. So I know there was recently a case where two healthcare workers just had their charges dropped where they were defending their patients. So many times they're coming in and charging people, but they don't have the the information. They don't have anything to charge people, so they're dropping the charges, and the community is behind them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I want to get into the TRO. So, that was a huge court battle, and I feel like many people thought it was going to change the landscape for the raids and stuff. Can you kind of speak to what the like on the ground perspective is after this TRO? And so, we just to kind of contextualize it, it was about reasonable suspicion for people on the street. Basically, you can't just go after any person of color or someone who doesn't who speaks English with an accent or whatever. What's your perspective on how things have played out after TRO?
Well, I know you're asking about after, but just very quickly
Mm.
before, um, it's the raids and the abductions, kidnappings have changed throughout the last 3 months. At the beginning, the kidnappers were, not really as covering their faces, just maybe a little bit, coming out in their Border Patrol vehicles to some extent, some of them not. They were doing, coming out in large convoys, and they're still doing that some. They're doing things like going to MacArthur Park, which they've done since after the TRO too, and doing these large stagings and videotapes. They're videoing themselves for social media. But after the TRO, um, they have for maybe a week or a week and a half, they were a little more quiet in their tactics. They were not as aggressive in most cases, but that did not last long. They were still breaking the TRO. They're still racially profiling in many instances. And since the TRO was
Like put in place?
yeah, put in place, since it was put in place. But I think it was renewed, right? Even after it was renewed and continued, they are going to Home Depots, they're going to car washes, they're racially profiling, they're doing these larger raids still. They're what they're doing is illegal. Yeah. And they know that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like, you earlier you mentioned that, this is not anything like these types of like immigration enforcement is nothing new, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a sense of like emboldenment that they have now with Trump 2.0?
Involvement, you mean? Oh,
That they're emboldened, sorry.
oh, emboldened. Oh, emboldened. Oh, yeah, very much so. Emboldened. See, but that's the thing. Like under Obama, when I was in the detention center, one of the people that worked there said to me, "You know what? There were even more vehicles coming out of here, more buses, deporting people under Obama than we've seen under Trump so far." So Democrats are very, very much to blame. But I think with Trump, yes, it's more aggressive. It's not to say that they're not going to get to those numbers, but I think what they're trying to do is intimidate even more. So they can implement even more technology to watch us, to take us, to surveil us. So I think what they're doing is, yeah, they're intimidating us so we don't fight back, so they can have even more power.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my last couple questions. What's the coalition's advice to people who are being targeted for deportation, and how can people protect their neighbors?
Um, to get to know your neighbors, if you already know them, to have connections, text messages, to know what to do if you see ICE, to let Union del Barrio know, to let the Community Self-Defense Coalition know when you see, but also let your neighbors know if you can stay inside, or if someone is being kidnapped. If you have a group of people you can already get together with, a large group in your community, and come out and try to protect each other. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, but alerting that ICE is there as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us. Amanda Trebach, a U.S. citizen arrested by federal agents on August 8th.